Hello everyone. Today I will talk about a crucial issue that affects all of us, regardless of gender. Gender equality and how sexism negatively impacts society. We often think that the fight for gender equality primarily benefits women, but the research shows that everyone gains when we promote a more equitable society. The article evidenced that sexism in all its forms leads to negative consequences for both men and women. It has identified two types of sexism. First one, hostile sexism, which manifests as antagonism to women who challenge the status quo, in especially those in leadership positions. The second one is benevolent sexism, which presents itself through machist attitudes and the reinforcement of traditional gender roles. Benevolent sexism may seem harmless, but in reality, it reinforces inequality by suggesting that women need men's protection and support to success. Another article found that sexist attitudes among men can influence sexist beliefs over time. Additionally, research shows that in countries where men display high levels of hostile sexism, women tend to endorse benevolent sexism more frequently. Experts refer to this phenomenon as the protection racket, where women, fearing hostility from men, accept benevolent sexism as a way to ensure security, protection, and affection. But what is the impact of sexism on society? Societies with high levels of both hostile and benevolent sexism experience higher rates of violence and lower economic productivity. There is a wider gender gap in pay, employment, and unequal distribution of domestic labor. That's why gender equality should not be seen as just a woman's issue. It's a team goal that improves life for men, women, and society.
Regarding inequalities for men and women, the article choose at the study investigate how both hostile sexism and benevolent sexism affect the inequalities between women and men. Difference led to lower economic productivity, social conflict, less demographic political system, and poorer health and education outcomes for both men and women in different countries. But in the Latin American, according Marta Lamas, researcher and academic who has writing different documents about gender and cultural in American Latin American. She says that the woman have faced mainly to hostile sexism, suffering discrimination in different areas, so as work, education, politics, social, and general human rights. There is a gauge or salary and social position gap between women and men. The woman may also face traditional gender roles that limit their opportunities. An attitude of male superiority over women remain prevalent in several areas in these regions.
Based on the article, sexism is a common type of injustice and inequality form that everybody knows and that we can see it every day in many aspects. Perhaps it is a benevolent or hostile. Women continue being considered lower than the men. However, If we understand how this discrimination influence, we may find a solution, a true one, a real one. So, which are the main influences that perpetuate this discrimination? It has many influences, such as family dynamics. Child reading is a consequence of it. In this one, parents teach their kids their roles in society. Boys must be an independent leader who can't express his emotions, while girls must be vain and develop domestic skills for housework. So since they are born, they start being typecast as undefined and a defined certain time to accomplish a specific role. So other influence is the media. For example, in the news, the presenters usually tend to be women to call the public attention, wearing short dresses and posing in a specific way under a specific light, and they must act feminist. Also, in the movies, when they make sexist jokes, people laugh about them and then they continue without hesitating. And another way we can see sexism in careers is in careers. As we can see in the first image, truck drivers and bricklayers are jobs that are performed in a 90% by men and only 10% by women over 100%. By the other side, in the other image, we can see that jobs such as housewives are in a 1% only performed by women. Nowadays, we can see that these are the causes or the main influence on sexism, on this type of discrimination.
Okay, so based on the article, I wanted to address three important topics that are also very affected by this type of inequality among genders. So, for example, it's in the schools. Schools can, of course, implement the following things that I'm going to tell you, like critical thinking and empowerment. By this, I mean that schools should teach students what is sexism, what does it mean, and how can we, of course, prevent it. For example, schools can develop workshops to, for example, give more accessibility to students to all the sports. Like, for example, boys and girls can play soccer, not only boys, and for example, boys and girls can play volleyball, not just girls, and that type of stuff. Just like educate students very well about what is it, so we can stop it. The second thing I want to talk about is the in our society in general, and I think social media campaigns are a big they have an important role. So the campaigns can empower women and of course make men allies as well, because it's not sexism is not only for women, but in men it's not that common, but it also happens. But yeah, it's more noticeable among women. And for example, the last thing I want to talk about is the in a workplace. For example, yeah, the thing that I want to address is that a way to treat sexism is, for example, if a man and a woman is doing the same job, the same amount of time, and is the same quality of the job, men and women should have the same salary.